If you've seen car lots or car dealerships that look like this, where they are plastered with signs that say no credit, no problem, bad credit, no problem, we finance in-house, come on in today, we'll get you keys to a car instantly. Well, these are oftentimes known as buy here, pay here dealerships. And they are a very specific type of dealership that prey on people who either have bad credit or no credit, and they will sell you a car without really doing any major credit checks at extremely high interest rates to really take advantage of your situation. So in this video, I'm going to go over exactly how buy here, pay here dealerships work and how you can avoid some of the scrupulous scamminess of these dealerships and get yourself into a better situation and really exercise some of the better options that exist out here. So let's dive in. All right, so here's how these car lots work. When you go shopping at a buy here, pay here car dealership, you pick out a car and you apply for financing just like you would at any dealership. The difference is that the financing doesn't come from a bank or a credit union. Instead, it comes from the car lot itself, which is why it's also known as in-house financing. The buy here, pay here dealerships may charge the maximum APR allowed by law in the state where they do business. So for example, you might pay up to 21% APR for cars older than 2 years in Pennsylvania, while in North Carolina, they allow you to charge rates up to 29% APR for vehicles that are 5 years or older. So breaking down the math, let's say you go to a buy here, pay here car lot and you get a loan for $10,000 at 29% APR for 3 years. That means you would pay just over $5,000 for the cost of the loan on top of the $10,000 car. So just think about it, $10,000 for the car, $5,000 for the loan. In this case, you would pay over half the car's value just to get the loan. By comparison, the average used car loan rate across all credit scores in 2021 was 8.21%. So buy here, pay here is almost triple in that scenario. So now at buy here, pay here places, you can do this because it's legal and because some of their customers may think that they have no other way to get a car. Now, many states set limits on how much interest can be charged on a loan, but car dealers can also charge additional fees if customers agree to it. So there's a lot of stuff that can get built into these loans that they can really sort of convince you into signing off on as you go through the buying process, mainly because customers for buy here, pay here dealerships are typically people who have bad credit. They have no credit and they are really desperate to get into a car because maybe they need to commute to and from work, take care of family, get groceries, all of life's essentials. So they're not really paying attention to, hey, what is this dealership trying to sell me? What does this interest rate mean? How much am I really paying? They're just focused on the fact that they need a car for life's essentials and they need to get out of here. So in this video, I really wanted to bring this to your guys' attention. If you find yourself in this position, there are better options. Now, yes, buy here, pay here dealerships, they exist for one reason, which is if there is absolutely no other option for you to get a car, if no one else will approve you and this is the last resort, then this is an option, right? It's a viable option, but it's really going to cost you an arm and a leg, and actually for most people will put them in a worse financial situation. Now, I've read a lot of forums and stuff like that about buy here, pay here dealerships, and people always say, well, how about credit cards? Credit cards charge, 20, 25% APR. Well, that's really different because with credit cards, as the consumer, as a borrower, I always have the option to pay my monthly statement on time. And if I pay it on time and I don't carry that balance over, well, then I'm not paying that interest on the money that I borrowed. But if I carry that balance into month 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, on, then yes, I'm going to end up paying that interest rate on that credit card. Whereas for these car loans from buy here, pay here dealerships, that 29% interest rate APR, it's built into your monthly payment no matter what. You don't have the option not to pay it. Also for credit cards, they have no collateral, right? So all they have is that interest rate that they're going to charge you. versus these car lots, they actually have that vehicle as collateral. Now, part of the reason why I'm not fond of these car lots is because they are a little bit shady in the way that they do business, but there are laws that they have to follow depending on the states that they're in. So these are the things that you really want to be educated about prior to getting stuck in an agreement with one of these dealerships. So for example, in the state of California, buy here, pay here dealerships have to offer you certain things. So they have to give you at least a 30-day warranty or up to the first 1,000 miles that you drive on the car. And they have to make sure that the car is up to par for certain things like the engine, electrical components. You actually have to be in something that is drivable. And so they really have to adhere to that stuff. Now, another thing that these buy here, pay here dealerships are really known for is having tracking devices and kill switches in the vehicle that they sold to you, right? And by law in certain states, they have to disclose to you and give you written documentation that, hey, customer, your car is being tracked. It has a kill switch. We have the ability to disable access to the vehicle if you don't make your payments, and we will know where it's located and we can repossess it because it's being tracked. And unfortunately, that is a huge part of these buy here, pay here dealerships business models, which is they sell you a car knowing very well that because of the high interest rate, oftentimes up to 30%, that you're not going to be able to afford this payment eventually. Then they're going to repossess that vehicle, go ahead, find another customer for it. And oftentimes these dealerships will sell the same car 2 to 3 times per year. So that's at least 3 people per year that are falling victim to that type of situation and is probably worsening their financial situations. And that's what bothers me about this business model, is that it's really not fair in many cases, not all, to the people and the situations that they might be in. And so the best thing you can do is really educate yourself on what are some of the other options that you have. So when I got my first car, I was really young. I had no credit. So I didn't have bad credit, but I had no credit history. I just hadn't purchased anything yet. I never needed a loan for anything. So it was finally time to get a car. And I remember thinking to myself, like, oh my God, who's going to approve me for anything? I have no credit. Why would they trust me? And that's when I found a lease to a smart car, which I eventually put on Turo, and it was a $99 lease, and it was so cheap, inexpensive, and I was shocked when they approved me for it. I remember I had to put a $1,000 down payment on it, but I had a very fair interest rate at the time and just $99 per month. So my point is that these deals do exist and you can find really low monthly leases that you can get into. The other thing that you want to do is really shop credit unions. And then there are lenders who specifically lend to people who have bad credit or no credit. And there is a big list of these lenders that specialize in that, and they are still going to give you a better interest rate and a better deal than a lot of these buy here, pay here dealerships. So some of these lenders include Capital One or Open Road, and I'm going to put the links down in the description below so that you guys can check it out. Now, one of the benefits of going through lenders like Capital One or Santander or Open Roads is that they will most likely report your payments to the credit bureau. And that's going to help you in helping you fix your credit if you have bad credit, and hopefully you can get on a better track and have more affordable payments, because their interest rates, their APRs on these auto loans are not going to be as high as buy here, pay here lenders. And so that way you can start building your credit history again. You can be more consistent with your payments, and that's going to work in your favor. Whereas a lot of buy here, pay here dealerships or car lots, they actually don't report your payments to the credit bureaus. Now, that can be a pro and a con. It can be a pro because let's just say you're in a very bad financial situation and that car gets repossessed. Well, if it gets repossessed and they weren't reporting your payments, then they're likely not going to report that repossession either. And if they are reporting, then the con is if you get that car repossessed, which happens to a lot of buy here, pay here customers, well, then that repossession is going to end up on your credit score and your credit profile. And if you end up with a repossession, that is just a nail in the coffin and extremely bad for your credit history, your credit profile. And it's going to make it very difficult for you to recover from that. And it'll take many, many, many years. So you really, really want to avoid stuff like this. Now, I know throughout the years, I have met a lot of people who are, maybe they came out of a business that failed, or they lost their jobs, or got laid off, and they're looking to get into Turo as a new business opportunity. But they're so eager to purchase vehicles, and they might have had bad credit or are not in the greatest financial situations. And so sometimes they also fall into really high interest rate loans or buy cars that are really expensive. And eventually they end up in that same situation. So the whole moral of this story is to really make sure when you make that buying decision that you are really looking at your full situation. Do you have bad credit? Do you have no credit? Do you have the ability in the future to consistently make these payments? Is this dealership going to be reporting these loans and these payments for you to the credit bureaus? Does that work in your favor or not? So these are all the things that you really, really want to consider. And if you want to learn how to negotiate a great car deal because you're thinking about getting into Turo and you want to maximize your profits and you don't want to fall into one of these scams or these frauds, then check out this video that I made recently that's going to walk you through that. And I'm going to put all the helpful links down in the description below.